Welcome back to our Kids Bible Stories channel. Today, we continue our wonderful journey through the Old Testament, discovering another story filled with faith, choices, and lessons that stay in our hearts. In our last episode, we learned about Isaac, the son of Abraham and Sarah, and how God continued his promise through Isaac's family. Now, it's time to meet Isaac's twin sons, Jacob and Esau, two brothers who were completely different from each other, but both chosen to be part of God's amazing plan. Isaac and Rebekah loved each other deeply, but for a long time they could not have children. Isaac remembered God's promise to his father Abraham, that his family would become a great nation. And so he prayed faithfully for a child, and God heard Isaac's prayer. Rebekah became pregnant, but something unusual happened. The babies inside her tummy moved a lot. Sometimes it felt like they were even pushing each other. Rebekah was curious and prayed to God, asking what was happening. And the Lord answered her, "2 nations are in your womb. 2 peoples will be separated from within you. One will be stronger than the other, and the older will serve the younger." Rebekah kept these words in her heart. She knew God had a special plan for her children, even before they were born. When the day of birth came, the first baby arrived. He was red and covered with hair, like a little furry coat. They named him Esau. Then came the second baby, holding tightly to his brother's heel. So they named him Jacob, which means he who grasps the heel. From the very start it was clear these 2 brothers would grow up to be very different. The years passed, and the boys grew up strong and healthy. But they couldn't be more different. Esau loved the outdoors. He became a skillful hunter, brave and wild, always with his bow and arrows, running through the fields and mountains. His father Isaac loved him very much, especially because Esau always brought home delicious meat from his hunts. Jacob, on the other hand, liked to stay near the tents. He was quiet and thoughtful, helping his mother with daily tasks and taking care of the animals. He loved to listen, learn, and talk with Rebekah, who loved him dearly. So Isaac loved Esau, and Rebekah loved Jacob. This difference in affection made things complicated. And over time, jealousy began to grow between the brothers. But God had a plan that would show how he can use even our mistakes to bring about something good. One day, Esau came home from the fields, exhausted and starving. He had been out hunting all day under the hot sun and hadn't caught a thing. As he walked into the camp, the smell of delicious food filled the air. Jacob was cooking a pot of red lentil stew, and the scent made Esau's stomach growl loudly. "Give me some of that stew," Esau said. "I'm so hungry I could die." Jacob looked at him thoughtfully and replied, "I'll give it to you, but only if you sell me your birthright." Now, the birthright was a very important thing. It meant that the firstborn son would inherit the father's special blessing and become the leader of the family. But Esau, tired and impatient, didn't care. "What good is a birthright if I'm starving to death?" he said. "You can have it." So Jacob gave him some bread and the stew. Esau ate, drank, and then walked away, without realizing how much he had just given up. That day, Esau sold his birthright for a bowl of stew, and God watched, knowing what was in each brother's heart. As time went on, the brothers continued their separate ways. Esau loved hunting and adventure. Jacob preferred peace and family life. But while Esau cared mostly about things of the moment, food, fun, and excitement, Jacob cared about God's promises and the spiritual blessing that came from his family's covenant with the Lord. Still, Jacob was not perfect. He was clever, sometimes too clever, and he often tried to get what he wanted by planning and trickery, instead of waiting for God's timing. But God had a way of using even Jacob's mistakes to teach him valuable lessons. Many years later, Isaac grew old and nearly blind. He knew his time on earth was coming to an end, and he wanted to give his special blessing to his oldest son, Esau. He called Esau and said, "My son, go out and hunt some wild game for me. Prepare the tasty food I love, and then come back so I may bless you before I die." Eager to please his father, Esau grabbed his bow and arrows and went out hunting. But Rebekah overheard the conversation. She remembered God's words, that the older would serve the younger, and decided to help Jacob receive the blessing instead. She called Jacob and said, "Listen, your father is about to bless Esau, but we must act quickly. Bring me 2 young goats from the flock. I'll prepare them just the way your father likes. You'll take it to him and receive the blessing." Jacob was nervous. "But mother," he said, "Esau is hairy and I'm not. If father touches me, he'll know I'm lying, and he'll curse me instead of blessing me." Rebekah answered, "My son, let the curse fall on me. Just do as I say." So Jacob did as his mother told him. Rebekah cooked the meal and covered Jacob's arms and neck with goat skins to make him feel hairy like Esau. Then she dressed him in Esau's clothes and sent him to Isaac. Jacob brought the food to his father and said, "Father, I am Esau, your firstborn. Please eat what I've prepared and bless me." Isaac was suspicious. "How did you find the game so quickly, my son?" "The Lord your God gave me success," Jacob replied. Isaac listened carefully. "The voice is the voice of Jacob," he said, "but the hands are the hands of Esau." He felt Jacob's arms, smelled Esau's clothes, and finally believed. Then Isaac ate the meal and placed his hands on Jacob's head. Isaac blessed Jacob with powerful words. "May God give you the dew of heaven and the richness of the earth, plenty of grain and new wine. May nations serve you and peoples bow down to you. Be Lord over your brothers, and may those who curse you be cursed, and those who bless you be blessed." Jacob received the blessing of the firstborn, the same spiritual promise that God had given to Abraham and Isaac. Just after Jacob left, Esau returned from his hunt. He prepared a meal and went to his father, saying joyfully, "Father, sit up and eat some of my game, so you can bless me." Isaac trembled. Who are you?" he asked. "I'm your firstborn, Esau." Then Isaac realized what had happened. "Your brother came deceitfully and took your blessing," Esau cried out. "He tricked me again. First he took my birthright, and now he's taken my blessing." Isaac said sadly, "I have blessed him, and indeed he will be blessed." Esau wept bitterly, his heart filled with anger and pain. He vowed, "When my father dies, I will get revenge on Jacob." When Rebekah heard about Esau's anger, she told Jacob, "My son, your brother wants to harm you. You must go to my brother Laban's house. Stay there until Esau calms down." So Jacob left home, carrying the blessing, but also guilt and fear. He had deceived his father and hurt his brother, yet God was still with him. God had not abandoned Jacob. He would teach him, shape him, and turn his heart toward truth. Even in his mistakes, God's plan continued, because God's promises never fail. The story of Jacob and Esau is full of important lessons. Every choice matters. Esau traded something priceless for something temporary. God fulfills his plans even when people make mistakes. Patience and faith are worth more than rushing and acting on impulse. God's blessing should always be respected and treasured. Jacob would go on to have many adventures, dreams, journeys, and even a night when he would wrestle with an angel. But through it all, God's hand would guide him. Jacob and Esau's story teaches us that God knows the heart of every person. Sometimes we make wrong choices or act out of fear or pride, but God can turn even our mistakes into new beginnings. When we ask for forgiveness and trust in His love, He helps us grow into better people, just as He did with Jacob. And that's the end of today's story on Kids Bible Stories. The story of Jacob and Esau reminds us that God has a plan for each of us, and his promises always come true, even when things don't go the way we expect. Let's remember to make wise choices, value what really matters, and trust that God's love can transform every situation. Join us next time as we continue our journey through the Old Testament, discovering more about how God leads his children with patience, mercy, and endless love.